I think it's kind of fun when the cops come. Like, run, skate, chill, run, skate, chill. Like, go to the store. You know what I mean? Like, oh shit, cops coming. Like, I'll make you always be on point.
From surviving homelessness and couch surfing in San Francisco to building one of the most iconic brands in skateboarding, his journey is nothing short of extraordinary.
I was that degenerate that wanted to be a celebrity. And now that I'm a celebrity, it's like I miss kind of being a degenerate sometimes because that was the funnest times of my life.
In this video, we're uncovering the untold story of Stevie Williams. The early struggles, the tragic moments, and the incredible triumphs that define his life. This is more than a tale of skateboarding. It's the story of a man who refused to give up, no matter the odds. Stevie Williams grew up in the streets of Philadelphia, a city known for its grit, toughness, and unrelenting challenges. For Stevie, life wasn't easy. Raised in one of the roughest neighborhoods, he faced the harsh realities of poverty every single day. But even as a kid, Stevie wasn't like everyone else. While others were drawn to basketball courts or the football field, Stevie found his escape in something far less common: skateboarding. At just 12 or 13, Stevie had a dream, one that most people around him couldn't understand. He wanted to be a professional skateboarder. In a neighborhood where dreams often faded under the weight of hardship, his stood out. Not because it seemed achievable, but because it seemed impossible. Skateboarding wasn't a respected path in his community. It wasn't a ticket out, but Stevie saw it differently. For him, a skateboard wasn't just a piece of wood, it was freedom. Of course, chasing that dream wasn't easy. Stevie had no sponsorships, no expensive gear, and no safety net. Resources were scarce, and support was even scarcer. Friends and family didn't see the potential of what he was doing. They only saw the struggles of daily life and wondered why he didn't pursue something more practical. But Stevie wasn't deterred. He spent countless hours practicing on cracked sidewalks and weathered curbs, turning every corner of his neighborhood into a training ground. Philadelphia wasn't known for its skateboarding scene at the time, and Stevie faced skepticism from those around him. Nobody believed skateboarding could ever be a way out, but Stevie did. He wasn't just skating for fun. He was skating for survival, skating for a chance to create a life that didn't yet seem possible. This was the beginning of Stevie Williams' journey, a journey built on sheer determination, grit, and the unwavering belief that no matter where you come from, the impossible can be achieved. It was here, in these streets, that the foundation of his story was laid, a story that would one day inspire millions. By the time Stevie Williams turned 14, his dream of becoming a professional skateboarder burned brighter than ever. But staying in Philadelphia wasn't going to make it happen. He needed to be where the action was, where the industry was: California. So just weeks after his birthday in December, Stevie made a bold and life-changing decision. With nothing but a skateboard, a few belongings, and an unshakable belief in himself, he hitchhiked across the country. Arriving in California was both exhilarating and terrifying. Stevie first landed in Costa Mesa, where he hoped to connect with Element Skateboards, the company he had always dreamed of riding for. But the reality was far from a warm welcome. Stevie was still a kid, a runaway really, and Element wasn't ready to take on that kind of responsibility. To make matters worse, his mother was furious. She called the company, threatening legal action, demanding they send him back home. Stevie's dream was already hanging by a thread, but he refused to give up. Imagine being just a kid, thousands of miles from home, with no guaranteed place to sleep, Stevie later reflected. But I knew if I could just stay, if I could just skate, I'd figure it out. With no stable housing and no support system, Stevie was forced to navigate the harsh realities of life on his own. Element couldn't officially help him, but they offered what they could: some boards, a bit of money, and advice to keep his head down. But Stevie wasn't about to lay low. He was just getting started. When Costa Mesa became too difficult to manage, Stevie took his journey further north, hitching a ride with friends to San Francisco. It was here, in the vibrant yet unforgiving streets of the Tenderloin district, that Stevie's story truly began to take shape. The Tenderloin wasn't a place for the faint of heart. Rough streets, tough crowds, and a reputation for danger. But for Stevie, it was a chance to prove himself. It wasn't easy. Nights were spent couch surfing when he was lucky, or sleeping on benches when he wasn't. Each day was a hustle, figuring out where to eat, where to stay, and how to keep his dream alive. Yet, through it all, Stevie never wavered. His determination and confidence carried him forward. He wasn't just chasing a career, he was chasing survival. This leap of faith was a defining moment in Stevie Williams' life. It was the point where he put everything on the line for his dream, risking comfort, security, and safety for the chance to become the skateboarder he always knew he could be. And though the road ahead was still filled with challenges, one thing was clear: Stevie was in California, and he wasn't leaving until he made it. When Stevie Williams arrived in San Francisco, he wasn't met with open arms. The city's skateboarding scene was tight-knit and, for outsiders, tough to break into. The locals had their own crews, their own rules, and their own way of doing things. For a kid from Philadelphia, the odds of earning their respect were slim. But Stevie wasn't just any kid, he had a confidence and a drive that refused to be ignored. Skating through the city became a way of life, Stevie recalled. Dodging cars, cracks in the road, and even the occasional crackhead. It was all part of the experience. For Stevie, the streets of San Francisco became his proving ground. He wasn't just skating to impress, he was skating to survive, to earn respect, and to carve out a place for himself in a world that wasn't ready to accept him. Over time, his persistence paid off. Stevie's undeniable talent and fearless style began to turn heads. He wasn't just keeping up with the locals. He was pushing boundaries, taking risks, and making an impression that couldn't be ignored. His tricks were bold, his personality was magnetic, and his determination was unmatched. Slowly but surely, the San Francisco skateboarding scene started to see Stevie not as an outsider, but as one of their own. For Stevie Williams, those nights on couches and benches, those long days skating through the city, weren't just obstacles, they were stepping stones. The struggles of the Tenderloin didn't break him, they built him. And by the time the locals accepted him, Stevie had already proven to himself and to the world that he belonged in skateboarding's elite. For Stevie Williams, San Francisco wasn't just a new chapter. It was the stage where he would define his place in skateboarding history. In the 90s, Embarcadero, or EMB as it was famously known, was the heart of the city's skateboarding culture. But by the time Stevie arrived, things had changed. The crackdown on skaters at EMB was in full swing, with security guards and police handing out $200 tickets and chasing skaters off the iconic plaza. The scene was shifting, and skaters began migrating to a new spot, Pier 7. Pier 7 wasn't just another location, it was an opportunity. With its smooth ground and long ledges, it became a playground for technical tricks and creative innovation. For Stevie, it was a chance to make his mark, but he wasn't just skating to keep up, he was determined to stand out. Every day, he pushed himself harder, testing the limits of what was possible on a skateboard. The tricks he landed weren't just impressive, they were groundbreaking. It was at Pier 7 that Stevie pulled off the defining trick of his early career. To this day, it remains unmatched, a testament to his vision and skill. This wasn't just a moment of personal triumph, it was a statement. Stevie wasn't just part of the scene, he was elevating it. He was showing the world that skateboarding was more than just a sport. It was an art form, a form of self-expression, where creativity and determination could defy gravity and logic. Pier 7 became my proving ground, Stevie later reflected. It wasn't just about skating, it was about showing what I was capable of, turning the impossible into reality. And that's exactly what he did. While others were content to master existing tricks, Stevie was always looking to innovate, to create something new, something unforgettable. His relentless drive and fearless style earned him respect, not just from the local skateboarding community, but from the skateboarding world at large. By the time he left Pier 7, he wasn't just another skater trying to make it. He was a force to be reckoned with, a name that carried weight in the industry. It was here, he said, that I truly proved myself. And in doing so, Stevie Williams didn't just carve out a place in skateboarding history, he inspired a generation to believe that anything was possible with enough heart and determination. In 2002, Stevie Williams made a bold move that would forever change skateboarding culture. After years of proving himself in the streets and earning respect in the industry, he decided to create something that reflected not just his talent, but his story, his roots, and his resilience. That something was DGK, Dirty Ghetto Kids. The name itself was a statement rooted in Stevie's upbringing and the challenges he faced as a young skater from Philadelphia. Dirty Ghetto Kids was what people used to call Stevie and his friends when they skated in the streets, as if to dismiss them, to put them in a box. But Stevie turned those words into a badge of honor. DGK wasn't just about him. It was about representing the struggle, the grind, and the creativity of kids who dared to dream beyond their circumstances. Starting the brand was no easy feat. At the time, skateboarding was dominated by brands that catered to a different crowd: clean-cut, suburban, and safe. DGK was the opposite. It was edgy, raw, and unapologetically urban. Investors were hesitant, doubting whether a brand so rooted in inner-city culture could succeed. But Stevie was determined to prove them wrong. He knew there was a whole generation of skaters out there who felt just like he did, kids who didn't see themselves reflected in the skateboarding world. From the beginning, DGK wasn't just about selling boards. It was about creating a movement. The brand's graphics, clothing, and messaging were a direct reflection of Stevie's life experiences. Every design told a story. Every product was a piece of his journey. Stevie poured his heart into the company, taking risks and making sacrifices to ensure that DGK stayed true to its roots. As the brand grew, so did its impact. What started as a rebellious idea became a global phenomenon. DGK wasn't just a skateboarding brand, it was a symbol of resilience, creativity, and individuality. Skaters from all walks of life began rocking DGK gear, drawn to its authenticity and its message of overcoming the odds. DGK isn't just a brand, it's a legacy, Stevie said. It stands for every kid who ever dared to dream big, despite the odds. And that legacy resonated far beyond skateboarding. DGK became a cultural icon, bridging the gap between street culture and the skateboarding world. It inspired a new generation to believe in themselves, to embrace their uniqueness, and to never give up, no matter where they came from. For Stevie Williams, DGK was more than just a business. It was a way to give back, to create something meaningful for the community that shaped him. Through DGK, he proved that success isn't about where you start. It's about where you're willing to go. And for Stevie, the journey was always about more than just skateboarding. It was about changing the game on and off the board. Success isn't always what it seems. And for Stevie Williams, the road to the top was as challenging as the journey that came before it. By the time DGK became a global brand, and Stevie was recognized as one of the most influential skateboarders of his generation, he had achieved what many only dream of. But with that success came a new set of challenges, ones that were far more personal. The pressure to stay on top was relentless. Stevie found himself racing forward, constantly working to grow his brand, maintain his reputation, and stay relevant in a competitive industry. On the outside, he was thriving, attending events, making media appearances, and inspiring millions of fans. But behind the scenes, the pace of success began to take its toll. As Stevie reflected in later years, he had moments where he felt disconnected from skateboarding, from his roots, and even from himself. The joy and freedom that skateboarding once brought him were harder to find. The passion that had fueled his rise started to feel more like a job, a responsibility, than the love it had always been. At some point, Stevie admitted, "I realized I was just going through the motions. I had everything I thought I wanted, but I still felt like something was missing." It was a feeling many who achieve success can relate to, the idea that reaching the top can sometimes leave you with more questions than answers. The struggle to stay true to his roots added another layer of complexity. Stevie had built a brand and a career on his authenticity, but fame often comes with a pull to compromise. As the spotlight grew brighter, Stevie fought to hold on to the grit and realness that had defined him from the start. It wasn't easy, but it was a fight he refused to lose. At his lowest, Stevie found himself looking back to the days of couch surfing in San Francisco, of skating through the streets with no guarantee of what tomorrow would bring. It was in those memories of the grit, the grind, and the pure love of skating that Stevie found his way forward. "Those days taught me everything," he said. "They reminded me of why I started, of what it means to keep pushing, no matter how hard it gets." It was this reflection that reignited Stevie's passion for skateboarding, not just as a career, but as a way of life. He returned to the roots of his journey, embracing the challenges and the simplicity that had always driven him.